today I will be looking at a WOMIER SK71 Pro. So, the story behind this is they reached out actually a few times, and I've always just been like, nothing really interests me, like, I'm sorry guys. I had another friend tell me, yo, I recommended you for some keyboards, they're gonna reach out, maybe take a look. And they did reach out and they said we have like a bunch of stuff that you may be interested in. And they linked more of their like subtle designs. And this one here in particular stood out because the price point's like 120 bucks, 122 bucks. It's on sale. And then it came with some actually decent colorways and a very subtle design. We're gonna be taking it apart and then rebuilding it with some Granite switches. I'm really hoping this ends up sounding good. It does have a 1.2 mil PCB, but they say it's non-flex cut. I'm kind of excited for this one here actually. This is like one of two products in the WOMIER lineup that were really interesting to me. They did send me out the keyboard, I didn't have to pay for it, so take that as my little sponsor warning, I guess. But that's not obviously gonna affect anything. We got an accessory box, we have a pamphlet. Wait, this is actually such a pretty color in person. Oh, yeah, this is, I mean, it's not really a sloth style keycap because sloth is a bit more brown. This is kind of more of like an espresso color. Dude, this is real nice. Excuse me, WOMIER? Oh, wow, okay, so it has a bit more of like a rounded... Oh, this is actually, dude, I'm sorry, I'm pausing here just because I actually have never opened this up until right this instant. I'm impressed by this. Okay, I don't know what this sounds like or what the internals look like, but it's a bit more rounded on the corners. It does say designed by WOMIER, which like, I don't love that, but I don't hate it at the same time. Like it's in a non-intrusive spot, I suppose. This weight, in quotation, this accent on the bottom, I kind of like how it's faceted around here. This is nice. And then it does have like a bit of a cutout over here, which I'm a sucker for. And the reason why I like this is because it kind of adds character to the bottom. The ano itself looks fine. Like it doesn't look like it's anything bad or good. It does have some sharper edges, which, you know, obviously that's easier to machine, which helps keeps the board down in price. I don't hate it though. And it does have some RGB, which you guys can kind of see on the back over here. So it'll shoot out like this little light RGB over here. Some exposed Phillips head screws. Not a fan of Phillips head. Literally costs nothing at all to get different screw heads, which I implore them to do. And it does have this kind of like accent, which feels like almost plastic. I'm not sure what this is around it, this brown accent around it, but I kind of like it. Ooh, the side profile's nice too. So it's a box on wedge with some character. Hey, this is not bad. Little badge here on the side, which is fun. I actually don't mind the badge either. I wonder if we're able to swap this out for keycaps. So it does have a little bit of RGB on the back, which is cool. And it does have perky RGB too, which kind of looks tacky, which we're probably going to turn off. Oh, there's a little WOMIER logo here, which I wish they got rid of. I don't think that needs to be there. All right, this is nice. Sorry, I don't like the W on the front. No, I hate this. I hate the W here. Again, this is one of these situations where the brand has branding here and branding here. Pick one spot and go with it. Just like you don't need both. To me, this looks like a more expensive keyboard already. 122, you get a thing of switches, decent PBT keycaps. I wouldn't say they're the best. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I've seen better quality PBT. So you can kind of see, if we zoom in all the way here, you can kind of see like the E's and the A's are a little bit funky. Like they're not super clean. But again, for the price point you're getting here, I would say not bad. We can check the thickness of them as well. And then these are the switches. These are their own palm switches, which I'm not sure which brand actually makes these, but solid long pull. Maybe I'll just reuse these. I don't know. Maybe we'll see what we're up against here when the internals are, but well, yeah, we're going to do a little typing test now, and then we'll open it up and figure out what's actually inside this board and what makes it tick. So here is the sound profile. I mean, yeah, it's foamy. As for a stock sound, I would say this is just okay. I feel like you can probably do a little bit with this board. For 122 bucks, though, again, I'm not mad. Stabs feel fine. They're well modded. I would say this is on the better scale of what I've seen. In fact, I would probably put this as like a probably you don't need to tune these up. And then someone actually said there's a dongle underneath here. Oh, it's magnetic. I don't like the way this opens, though. This is... Okay, I really like this. I wish they had added something where you can kind of get a fingernail underneath and lift this up, because this is really hard to take off. There's an on and off switch underneath here. That's nice. Hell yes to this. That is very, very pleasant to see. Cool. All right, let's open her up. Changing the keycaps with the price more than the keyboard itself is a bit funny, or is it just me? It is funny. But I think that's also the joy of this, is we can see what like a cheaper keyboard could sound like if you decided that you wanted to put some custom parts on it. So let's see how this all opens now. Interesting. I like what they did here. I was kind of worried this would pull up with it. You know what I mean? Like I thought, okay, maybe this'll be a piece with a ribbon cable. But it looks like it's just on the PCB. And it's just one ribbon cable. All right. So we got some foam. It is a 1.2mm PCB, I can already tell. So it is plastic. You can tell because there's sprue marks. And it's held in with some more Phillips head screws. I don't think you would ever need to swap this out, but it is a plastic mid frame. So again, they're probably saving some money here. But the rest of the case is aluminum, minus these little plastic parts over here. Bottom foam isn't glued on W? Yes, we should also mention that. No glued on bottom foam. Thank you, WOMIER. That is the first I've seen in these level of boards. Thank goodness. These are the gaskets. They're little, like pin style gaskets here. I will say, I am, in its stock configuration, I am impressed with this. I can already tell you, because I already asked someone else about this, it does say, so I'm going to criticize them here as well. It does say stuff like, I believe on the website, I think they said this is like VIA compatible or something like that. VIA support. It is VIA supported, but you have to use a JSON file, as per the usual. I had a friend the same friend who told me about this board, also said it's not truly VIA supported in the way that we would like it to be. Please, this is like my 15,000th time asking companies, can we please, if we're gonna advertise VIA support, figure out how to make it so it just auto loads in VIA without the need for a JSON file. And I'm gonna reinforce this. You're probably thinking, well, that's never gonna happen. That literally happened to me like 2 weeks ago. I was doing a keyboard, I can't remember which one now. It was for a client, and it's an older board. And it was not loaded up in VIA correctly. And I was like, hey man, because nothing was typing on it. I'm like, can you please give me the VIA file? The PCB works. Like it all loads up fine, and I'm testing all the switches. Nothing's set properly. It's all set to random stuff. We spent 3 days looking for that VIA file. It's the JSON file. We had to send emails to people that not everyone knows in the hobby. Like I happen to remember who designed this, and like I happen to have certain contact information. If this was like a person who wasn't as deep into the hobby as like me or that client was, you'd be kind of shit out of luck. So again, it means a lot because you need to be able to customize these. That's the point of buying a custom keyboard. Well, part of the point, but well, this is maybe why the spacebar sounds a bit brighter. They got this like tape that goes over it, which we're gonna take off. See this in the PCB? Interesting. I've never seen anything like that. You can actually even see, I don't know if actually maybe it's not really visible, but like the switches are seated into this. I'm gonna peel this off here. I highly doubt we need this. And if we do, then oops. Very weird tape mod. I don't like mods, and I'm gonna knock off a point from this keyboard. I don't like when they do mods that you essentially can't re-put on. So this is more of a destructive way to mod this, but I dislike that. Tisk tisk, WOMIER, you were impressing me on every little aspect of this board so far almost. The screws were forgivable. This, like if someone wants to tinker, they can't really put this back. Alright, cool. This is, I really appreciate this, by the way. Sometimes people have this where you kind of have to fiddle with this and put this on. Like I've seen boards where like this is really tough to use. I really appreciate them not doing this here. So they gain another point there. Ooh, okay, so PCB also supports... Does that support ISO too? Am I going crazy? It doesn't have it on the plate, but oh wow, that is nice. I think this is one of the very first pre-builts in this kind of price range that's not from like one of the more custom-centric brands that has some options for what to do here. You can buy ISO plates. How much are the ISO plates? I didn't even see that. If they sell ISO plates for a few bucks, oh here, extra plates, $15. WOMIER, I'm impressed. Okay, I'm gonna go back to Canadian pricing here. For $122 Canadian, I was already impressed with this. But if you can get this, I don't know what 55 USD turns out to be in Canadian buckaroonies, but for 55 USD, so I know we're kind of bouncing back, 56 technically, this is insanely good value. I wish the mounting points were slightly moved over to the left, and this one here can stay where it is. So just for the future, I do wish this could slightly move over for WOMIER's knowledge, just so it doesn't feel as stiff underneath the spacebar. We may end up removing this, although I am worried this is gonna... Actually, let's just remove it now. We'll remove that for now. It doesn't look like it'll tap or anything, which is fine. Oh, you know what? I don't know how these will sound, though. I got these from Cordy Pop. So apparently they're ABS. It's keyboard science. I actually don't know what these are priced at. So these are not double shot. They're basically printed on. So that explains why these are so cheap. They're 65... Oh, hold on, let me just get the conversion. One second. They're 70 CAD. And then if we go 70 CAD to USD, they're 50 bucks. All right, so this is no foam. And again, we'll switch keycaps here in a bit too. But no foam Granite switches on the SK71 Pro. It does sound a little flat in some areas. I do think maybe we should switch the spacebar to something. But considering this has absolutely no foam, okay, maybe Granite switches were not the play for the... Yeah, okay, a little better. Actually, I would say a lot better with the cherry. Very nice. Very, very nice for the price. This could also be a fun little gift. Some things that I think are worth mentioning for WOMIER to maybe improve on. Switch out the hardware. Screws being Phillips head suck. I know it's a very minor complaint, but they do stink. One thing I would also ask WOMIER too is ditch the long feet. We've come to notice in the hobby that long feet tend to make the keyboard sound thuddy. Well, it didn't really do much in this case. It's hard to tell because we can't really do an A-B comparison. And it doesn't even get sold that way. So I would suggest perhaps considering doing some standard bubble feet. Also makes it easier for people to replace if these happen to wear down or they happen to remove them by accident. Another thing I would maybe urge them to do is, I would say stick with the standard 1.6mm PCBs. There's really not a whole hell of a lot of reason, if you're going to stuff this with foam, to have a 1.2mm PCB. Even sound-wise, it's not like this is going to really change up in the future just because you have a thinner PCB. But yeah, I would love if they just switch this over a bit. Other than that, pretty solid product. If they're going to do just an aluminum keyboard, adding some internal ridges or just some stepped internals here could help balance out sound for both foam enjoyers and non-foam enjoyers. Yeah, I do like this a little bit more with the foam on the bottom. Or actually, maybe not. Maybe I don't like it more with the foam on the bottom. It actually still sounds really good. It has that foamy mid boost now. Yeah, it definitely gave it a bit more character for sure. I still think I preferred it with nothing. Here's my final thoughts on this. I think WOMIER actually has a really good product on their hands. I'm glad I looked at this, to be honest. Again, the price point is wicked on this thing. Even if you end up getting the Amazon sale, which I don't know how long it's going to last, at 55 USD, this is a no-brainer. Like if you wanted something to tinker around with and have some fun, maybe you wanted a more foamy-oriented build, and still looks good. Sound-wise, are you going to get a better sound out of something in a similar price range at like let's just call it like $100-ish with taxes and maybe shipping? I would maybe, like if you really want like my recommendation here and really want like to kind of min-max some of your money, I think that if you pick up the bridge pre-built, which the bridge isn't crazy expensive, it's still around $85-ish. If you want the wireless one, I think it's about 120. I think the bridge is the nicer sounding keyboard. However, I actually prefer the look of this one here. The bridge is very simple and I appreciate it for that. This has a bit more going on. This has a bit more character and I really like it for that. So they have some nice machining on this. Like it's not just done in a very simple aspect in which the board looks boring. So good on WOMIER for that. So again, I would probably end up picking the bridge if I had a little bit more money to play with. Are there better boards out there? Absolutely, but maybe not for 55 bucks to start, or 85 without that sale. So yeah, I think this is probably going to be a great pickup for people. Came with decent keycaps, like very decent keycaps. Came with, I would say these switches feel pretty cool. I would like to play around with these some more before I give that, endorsement, I guess. Fun. They have some interesting aspects of this board too, which I really applaud them for, being like the dongles hidden on top as well as the on and off switch. Can't be upset at that. It only has one wire on the inside, which is phenomenal. So, hell yeah. Enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you guys have a good night. I'm going to take off here. I'm going to do a bit more work, and then I'm going to go straight to bed because I am tired. See you guys. Love you. See you tomorrow. And good night, everybody. Bye.